Alrighty then, Successful Indie Author 5-Minute Focus, episode 828, Writing Good Secondary Characters. Stanley, hanging out. It's ridiculously cold here, -18 or something like that, so we're not going to go for a walk. We'll just go out back because, frankly, I don't want to die. All right, 828, Writing Good Secondary Characters. What does that mean? A secondary character is one who still provides support to the plot, may have their own subplots, and actually should have their own subplots because they're interesting. So they need to have three-dimensionality, far more than just a prop. And I like to think of it as in role-playing games, you have player characters and you have non-player characters. For non-player characters, I don't even give them a name. I'll say the man, the pilot, the supply officer, whatever it is, just to highlight that this character is doing something that needs to happen in the plot or some engagement with a primary or secondary character, but those have depth. Main characters, I always think that you need more than one. They will have all kinds of dimensionality, backstories, and stuff like that. Secondary characters don't necessarily need the backstory, but they have to have a motivation. What motivates them to do what they're doing? So maybe not as much as your main characters, because if you try to do that for all your characters, imagine George Martin doing that for 2,000 characters in his Game of Thrones series. No, that gets a little bit out of control and unmanageable for the reader because there's too much for them to parse. Now you can have those characters. Think of Harry Potter, 7 books. And the character list grew and grew, and the characters you liked and the characters you embraced, and the characters had backstories. You probably had 30 or 40 different characters with significant backstories included in the series. It's okay. Build them a little at a time. Don't introduce them in a big info dump. Here's everything you need to know about all these characters. People will stop reading. It's like trying to read Genesis in the Bible. This person begat, that person begat, lots of begats. Avoid the begats. So consistency. As secondary characters, their motivation, they exist, they are real. What's their consistency? Make sure that if they have a speech foible or some kind of thing that identifies them separates them from other people, that you're consistent with that. So I have a spreadsheet of names and like identifying characteristics, scar on his face, whatever it might be. And then what is their motivation? Because secondary characters need the motivation, just like the main characters, and their unique voice. Make sure you maintain that. And that's a spreadsheet with these characters that are important to me and the story, and also important that they'll probably pop up again. So that's the thing with a secondary character. Don't have them dive in and dive out and disappear. I once killed a character in one of my series. I forgot him 2 books in a row, and I had to go back in and add him to a couple scenes. And I'm like, that's enough. So I killed him off. And the readers kind of flipped out. He was my favorite character. I'm like, I forgot to put him into the story and nobody noticed. Yes, favorite character. So you never know. Just make sure they have a backstory and depth. And this character did. Still, he was a secondary character. I like the player character, non-player character definitions, because then it's very clear. A non-player character, that's one that they're out there. They're just going to pass you your adventure, and then you'll never see them again. Khajiit has wares if you have coin. All right, bring your coin. Get your adventure. Move on. You never see Khajiit again. That temporary need. But the secondary characters, you can always bring them back. They can get their own spin-off stories later. Just make sure they have depth. 3-dimensionality is a big thing. You know, what's different about their hair? Your hair smells funny. Oh, okay. Something unique. And give them life. Bring them to life, because you need those secondary plots. You need those subplots. You need those interesting tidbits aside from the main character, because that keeps readers reading. Those are like Easter eggs that you've planted around your story. And they could be an Easter egg. You never know. I plant characters from my other series in books just because I can. And I think it's interesting. And also makes it interesting for them to read my other books. All right. Peace, fellow humans.